for more, let's cross to Seoul. Dongsinne Sohn, board member of the French Political Science Institute Sciences Po's Korea Society. Thank you for speaking with us here on France 24. Thank you for speaking to us at what is a late hour where you are in the South Korean capital.
Thank you for having me. It is indeed 1 a.m. in South Korea, and I got myself some tea.
Okay. Dongsinne, what's the reaction where you are to those images coming out of Pyongyang?
My reaction was, China is finally taking on the role. Is China afraid of losing North Korea? Because behind all of these fancy 21 gun dance, these banners, and these 1,000 balloons saying unbreakable friendship, there lies a very symbolic affair. And indeed, Xi Jinping's visit is an official endorsement to the North Korean regime. And it was about time China took on a role. And the Dongsinne, which is the North Korean press, actually released this morning the letter of the Chinese president to the North Korean president that said they would further develop and strengthen their strategic partnership and economic ties, which is a big deal for North Korea because, as it was said previously, they're undergoing droughts and sanctions, still ongoing sanctions by the United Nations. So it is the first time in 14 years that this kind of visit happens, and it emphasizes again the very unique position of China and its influence.
When you pay attention to the words used by Xi Jinping, they're warm but rather vague. Is this all just leverage when we know that in exactly 1 week, Xi will be sitting down with Donald Trump?
I believe it is leverage in this trade and technology war. I believe it. But I also believe that the Korean Peninsula can benefit and can benefit from this visit.
How so?
So I believe that South Korea, the Korean Peninsula overall, can benefit from this visit because as the warming relations between China and North Korea happen, there will be a better balance in negotiations and discussions. And that is the first step of what will be able to build an agreement, a long-term peace agreement in the Korean Peninsula overall.
So from what you're saying, it sounds like those 2 rounds of talks between Donald Trump and Kim Jong-un, that they're not very serious, that this would be more substantive, is what you're saying.
Could you repeat the question? I'm sorry.
No, what I'm saying is that it sounds as though for you that we haven't really gotten to the bit yet of substantive talks with North Korea. Have we?
I'm sorry. Could you repeat? The connection was bad.
Yeah, I was just saying, it's from what you're saying, it sounds as though the discussions that we've seen with over 2 rounds between Donald Trump and Kim, that they haven't really gone into the heart of the matter, that they haven't gone far enough to really have a breakthrough.
No. Especially after the meeting in Hanoi in Vietnam, the diplomacy slowed down. And yes, it was nothing substantive because North Korea, when they went to that meeting, they would not agree on the denuclearization. They could not agree with that element and being out of the AIA. So I believe that was nothing substantive. And now maybe we can start to have something substantive.
Dongsinne Sohn, you're a scholar here in Paris usually. You happen to be home. When you look at the tensions, both north and south of the 38th parallel, when you're there, how different is it?
So I'm sorry, I'm not sure I understood the question.
What does it feel like to be home right now in the context of all of this? Is actually what I'm asking.
I'm sorry. Yeah, the context of being home, I feel like there is two things, two big things. The first one is hope, is the hope to achieve a long-term peace and stability in the Korean Peninsula, because, like I said before, only when there will be a balance in negotiations and benefits that will be able to talk or even think about achieving some kind of long-term peace and ultimately denuclearization. But and that is also why I'd like to call Europe and its leaders to help achieve this balance, because negotiation is the art of finding balance, and that's what we need right now in this country. And also hope, but also unrest, a big feeling of unrest that dominates the country, because, as you know, we are in between an increasingly explicit China, an unburdened North Korea, and a inward-looking United States. So I think this feeling of unrest, to wipe it out, we need North Korea to affirm their roadmap for denuclearization, and also we are hoping for China to play a role in this directly or indirectly.
Dongsinne Sohn, many thanks for joining us from Seoul.
Thank you for having me.
Dongsinne Sohn of the French Political Science Institute, Sciences Po's Korea Society.